Hey everybody, Michael Gargiulo here with my friend Raphael Späth. Raphael, for years, has been a sports reporter who's covered everything, including world soccer, world football, as they say in Germany, for Deutschlandfunk in Germany. Raphael's a great friend of mine. I actually know him because I used to listen to his sports reports every morning driving to work for Today in New York. So Raphael and I have decided to get together to talk about the World Cup. We're going to do this a lot, but we want to start out, Raphael, by talking about the draw. The draw is now set, even though we don't know all the teams that are going to be in contention. So overall, Raphael, this is the biggest draw ever. 48 teams, 12 groups. What were your thoughts as you were seeing this rolled out?
Yeah, it was a lot of countries. Maybe first of all, we should clarify. Are we calling it soccer or are we calling it football? Because
Oh,
they've
we're
been
gonna have
talking
that.
about
We're
that.
gonna have. All right, let's call it. I think we'll call it football because it is the World Cup
I
and it is the
agree.
world. Let's start out by explain to everybody the way the World Cup works is that everybody's in a group. You're guaranteed 3 games. You play the other people in your group. Now, typically, up till now, the top 2 teams in each group went forward. But Raphael, it changed this year. They're going to allow 8 of the third place groups to go up.
Yeah,
I mean, that's going to be that's going to be a big change.
it sure is. And there was a lot of talk ahead of this whole draw about so-called group of deaths, which
Right.
means there are typically three strong nations in one group, and only
Mm-hmm.
two of those nations advance. Now, with this new system, I don't actually think there's any group of death per se, because at the end of the day, three strong teams probably will advance out of each
Right.
group.
So Raphael, let me press you on that. So like my group of death was Group I, and that has France, Senegal, and then one of the FIFA playoff winners, but then Norway. And Norway's been, as we say, killing it. They dominated their group. Holland, their unstoppable Superman forward. Guy scoring goals like he's playing basketball. Everyone is like, well, okay, France and Norway, they're definitely going forward, but Senegal is good, and we don't know who the playoff winner is. But you're saying now it doesn't matter because 3 of those teams will probably just go through.
Yeah. And that's sort of, I mean, it'll be interesting to see next summer because that was part of the excitement. That's why we love the World Cup so much. As a
Right.
German, I felt this firsthand for the past 2 World Cups where the German team, the heavy favorite, went out on the group stage because of
Yeah.
that exact format. But now, even when you're in third place, you can still move on.
Right, and then remember, after that, it's knockout. So it's like our March Madness basketball tournament. Sometimes you luck out, and a team that's the lowest ranked team ends up, you know, being the giant killer and winning some huge game.
Yeah.
But before we look at the groups, I want to ask you, Raphael, the Mannschaft as the German national team is. It seems like the Germans are never happy with it. Guys have won the World Cup 4 times. You last won in 2014. Every time I talk to my friends, they're like, "Nah, they're not good this year. Nah, they're not good." They did pretty well, and they're in that pot one. They're in the first position in their group. How do you feel about Germany's national team?
Oh, it depends. It depends on the day, honestly, because sometimes they have really strong performances, and then other times they completely flop. I think where they struggle is against those small teams like Curacao, like Ecuador. So I wouldn't say Germany is a shoo-in for the first place in their group, unfortunately, because they struggle against those small teams. If they were to play,
Raphael, you are my friend, but I've got to
no,
stop you right
Michael.
there.
Trust me, if they were to play, if they played Italy, maybe I would say, okay, they have, but I'm not so sure if they're going to finish in first. I'm certain that they're going to advance because
They'll
of this new
advance, yeah.
system, obviously. But I mean, all hell will break loose if they finish bottom of the group in Germany.
The many beers will be spilled, as they say
Oh
in
my
Germany.
gosh,
But
no,
Raphael, but you know what I have to say? What I would love to see is I'd love some of the great African teams to do great. Now, Morocco was fourth place in 2022, and you have some classic great African teams here: Senegal, Ivory Coast. Some of these teams are really, really great. Ghana is always the team that gets the U.S. Not we get knocked out. The U.S. gets knocked out by Ghana like every World Cup.
Yeah,
We get to the second round, we get Ghana, get knocked out. It would be great if a great team from Africa won the World Cup.
totally, totally. Actually, you were talking about your group of death earlier with France and Norway being in the group of death. My
Okay.
group of death is the group with Ghana. You got
Okay.
England, you got
Yeah.
Croatia, two strong
Croatia.
teams from Europe, then you got Ghana and you got Panama.
Right.
That to me is maybe the most difficult group, I
I
would say, in
I
this
would agree
bracket.
with you because Ghana is always good. Croatia was finals in 2018 against France, and then England, of course, won the World Cup in 1960. England's a fascinating country to watch because they have like the top league in the world, the Premier League, right? Got some of the greatest players in the world. They come into every World Cup like these guys got it, and then something disastrous happens for them.
Yeah. Can I tell you who I think lucked out majorly at this draw?
Okay, who lucked out majorly?
The hosts. I think Mexico, Canada, and the United States, their groups
Yeah.
are so manageable. Like,
No,
as a US fan, I would be so relieved right now.
okay, but let me ask you a question. Do you think now we should explain to people what happened is they basically divided the world up into like the best teams in the world, the second best, the third best, and then the fourth best. The US, Canada, and Mexico got put in what they call pot one, which was the top teams of the world, along with the nine best nations of the world: Brazil, Mexico, France. Um, so basically, the US doesn't have to, and Mexico and Canada, we don't have to play the best teams in the world. And because they're not in our group,
Yep,
we're in our group.
yep.
What did you think about that decision to do that, Raphael?
I mean, that's what FIFA always does because, of course, you don't want the host to
To
lose
get
the
out
group
right
stage.
away.
Yeah, you want the mood to be top notch all the way to
Yeah,
the end. I think it'll be nonetheless in the United States, but yeah, I think it's the right call. You don't want to see the US go out in the group stage at their own World Cup.
right. No, I get it. That makes a lot of sense. I think what makes the World Cup exciting to me before we start talking about some of these groups is you always have that nation that comes from nowhere, and all of a sudden there's a lot of excitement over. And I think there's a lot of countries here that can do it. I think the interesting thing about the World Cup to me is since 1930, only 8 countries have won the World Cup. There's only 2 countries that have won it once: Spain and England. I mean, that shows you how soccer has been concentrated in South America and Europe. You know, it's Argentina, Uruguay, and Brazil, and then Germany, Italy, England, Spain, France. I mean, that is it. It's crazy, right?
Yeah, I think it's time for a
A
country outside
broadening.
of Europe and South America to win the World Cup. And I think you mentioned it earlier. I think Morocco has the best shot at that
Yeah,
because they
they're
have a
good.
really strong team.
Okay, before we get to the groups, I want to ask you, Raphael. So in the United States, we have the Buffalo Bills, and also and the New England and the Minnesota Vikings. Both of those teams have been to the Super Bowl like 4 times each. The Buffalo Bills like lost 4 Super Bowls in a row. I always say the Netherlands is the Buffalo Bills of world football. It's the best team never to win the World Cup. They lost, of course, famously to Germany 2-1 in 1974. And then they lost again in 78. And then they lost again in, I think, 86 to
Hmm.
Argentina. They lost twice to Argentina. You have a country like, so the Netherlands, you have Belgium, you have Portugal. These are countries that are super. They always get close, Raphael, but they never seem to be able to win the World Cup. What's your thoughts about that? They're all in this World Cup.
Yeah. I mean, they're all European teams, so and obviously as a German, there's sort of this rivalry with the Netherlands where we
Right.
never want our neighbors to succeed. But yeah, I think maybe it could be their time. I don't know. We'll have to see because those nations that you mentioned earlier that have already won the World Cup so many times, there's a reason why they won it so many times because their teams are just that good. And
Yeah.
I think teams like Argentina, like France, they just got stronger over the past couple of years.
I,
So,
the team I'm really like, my early pick is Spain. I just think Spain is,
mhm.
they got it all. They got the young cats like Lamine Yamal, 18 years old, phenomenal. He's fantastic. But they're fast, they're good. They just really remind me of what, and France is excellent too, but they remind me of what France was just like a couple of years ago. And I
Yep.
just think they're going to be really, really hard to beat. They're the current European champions, I believe, right?
They are the current European
All
champions.
right, Raphael, why don't we look at some of these groups here? And we'll start with Group A. You got Mexico, South Africa, the Korean Republic, and then this is interesting. They get one of these still not known yet playoff players, and it's going to be Denmark, North Macedonia, Czechia, or Republic of Ireland. I think Denmark's the strongest out of
Yeah.
that group. Um, so you think like Mexico? Mexico used to be one of the top nations in the world. They've kind of fallen off a bit, but you think and Korea is always strong. South Korea is always strong. So who do you see going forward in that group?
I have my eyes on Mexico at this World Cup. I
Yeah.
wouldn't underestimate Mexico, especially with the home crowd
Oh
in
yeah, they're
Mexico
great and they're
City.
good.
Over 100,000 people, I think.
Azteca.
Yeah, in Azteca Stadium in Mexico City. That'll be a classic. Even like the opening game, Mexico
Yeah,
against South Africa, which by the way, it's the same opening game as in 2010, where South Africa hosted the
who's the
World Cup
host? Yeah,
and they hosted Mexico for
yeah.
the opening game. But yeah, for me, Mexico by far the strongest team in that group.
Okay. Let's go to Group B. So this is again. I'll tell you who my I now here is interesting. So this is Canada, and then A. They get the European playoff from the A group, and that can either be Italy, Northern Ireland, Wales, Bosnia and Herzegovina. I'm hoping it's Italy. Italy's, always this is like it's a crisis. There's crying, there's things, and then somehow they pull it out or not. But I think the class team there is Switzerland. I think they're good. I think they've always been good, and I think they're really right there. What's your thoughts?
Yep, I agree with you. By the way, if Italy were to play the United States at the World Cup, who are you rooting for?
Oh, Raphael, you're trying to hurt me here, my brother. I would root for peace, love, harmony, and a wonderful
Oh
game.
my God. That is such an NBC host answer.
Okay, moving along to Group C. So, Raphael, here we have the five-time winner, Brazil. The last time they won the World Cup, 2002 against Germany. Hate to remind you, but they won it in the United States in 1994. The last time we had the World Cup against Italy.
Yeah.
But here it is, Morocco. We both talked about how we love Morocco, great team. Haiti, and then Scotland. Scotland, they are surprisingly good. They were the surprise winner. I think they beat Denmark to get into this. So
Yeah,
I'm sure we both agree there. Brazil and Morocco are the top teams.
definitely. And the thing with Scotland is I don't think they'll do well at this World Cup.
Okay.
I don't even know if they have a shot against Haiti, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Because
Okay.
Scotland, I mean, the Scottish
They beat
fans,
Denmark.
yeah, but like in front of their home crowd, that game was a whole, like Denmark was dominating Scotland the entire game. They got lucky. Two world-class goals, like maybe the best goals in the
The guy hit like a
nation's
bicycle kick
history.
or something. It was
Yes,
amazing.
yes. So Brazil, Morocco for me, yeah,
Okay.
top two
Now
teams.
we get to the U.S. group, which is Group D. So we
Here
get
we go.
Paraguay. Paraguay used to be higher ranked than they are now. Australia, my take on Australia, the Socceroos, is that they end up doing better in the World Cup than people ever expect. They always get tough in the World Cup. Then they get European playoff C. Now that could be Turkey, which has finished third, I believe, in the World Cup in 2002. Romania, Slovakia, or Kosovo.
Hmm.
So I don't know. We both agree the U.S. is probably going to go forward. I have a feeling that European one, whatever comes in from Europe, will be with them. What do you think?
Well, the US, they have to make it out of that group.
They'll make it out of that group.
Yeah, but I honestly, I agree with you. My dark horse in that group is Australia. I love the
Okay, I agree
Australians
with
at
you.
the
Yeah.
World Cup.
Okay, we already talked about Group E that Germany
Yeah,
they got the best There must have been some free tickets for Oktoberfest handed out somewhere. They got the best deal going. Now, Group F, my favorite team that never won the World Cup, the Netherlands is there. Japan, which is always, they're right up there with South Korea. I think they're the two best teams in Asia. And then they get European Playoff B. So European Playoff B, let's check and see who that is. That's Ukraine, Sweden, Poland, or Albania. Now, Sweden and Poland, they've been in many World Cups. Sweden was a finalist all the way back in 1958, I believe. But, Sweden's typically pretty good. This was a kind of a downside for them. I think Netherlands number one in that group.
Yeah. But that'll be a close race.
That'll be a close race too.
Who will make it out of that group? Because I think all of those three teams, whoever it's gonna be out of Europe, they're all at the same level, I would say.
Yeah, I agree with you. So then we get over to Group G, and Group G is Belgium, Egypt, Iran, and New Zealand. So I mean, Belgium, world beaters. I think they've got that. But I don't know who I think is going to be second. Maybe Iran. I don't know.
I think Egypt has a good shot.
Oh yeah, Egypt. Of course, they have Mo Salah, and
yeah.
And they've done really good in the African Cup of Nations, I believe, too. Yeah. Of course, you are correct. All right, Group H, another tough group featuring two World Cup winners previously, Spain and Uruguay. I mean, I think that's it there.
Yeah. I don't think this group is that exciting, to be honest with you.
No, I mean, Spain's going to win. Uruguay is going to win. And then, the only thing that can happen in this group stage is sometimes, remember, so you get 3 points for a win, you get no points for a loss, you get 1 point for a tie. Sometimes the only thing that can hurt a team like Spain is, and I'm not saying this would happen with them, you tie the other really good team, so you'll both get 1 point, but then the other teams that are not as good, one beats the other. You know what I mean? They get 3 points, so suddenly sometimes that can hurt you. All right. Group I. This is France, Senegal, Norway. This was my group of death. France, I think, I don't know. Who do you think, France or Norway? I can't say who I think is going to finish first.
Honestly, I think that's one of the most exciting games
on the
group stage at this World Cup. France against Norway. I can't tell you at this point. The Norwegians were so strong during the qualifiers. They're the most exciting team to me. I even think they could make it all the way to the semis, to be honest with you.
I think so too. But I want to ask you something as a veteran commentator of world football and you covered World Cups. When you have Norway so dominated by one or two really, really, really great players, and you're playing France that's got a lot of depth, and Mbappe, also one of the great players of the world, and Dembele, also one of the great players of the world. Do you think a team like France can absorb, Holland screaming down the pitch, ready to score a goal?
I think what makes Norway so dangerous is, aside from the individual talent, is their team chemistry.
Yeah.
They're a group that's been building for years and years now. And no matter what at this World Cup, they're going to be the underdog.
Yeah.
They don't have anything to lose. France has a lot to lose.
Yeah.
They were the world champions in 2018, the finalists in 2022.
Right.
They have a lot to lose. No matter who they're playing, they're always going to be the favorite. Norway always has that underdog status because they haven't been at the World Cup since 1998. So almost 30 years. So for them, every game is almost like a final because they can just enjoy being there. And I think that's what makes them so dangerous at this tournament.
There's no pressure on them, right?
There's no pressure.
Like Mbappe, I watched Mbappe play in the Club World Cup this summer, and for Real, and he had a lot of pressure because people expect every time he steps out there, they expect them to win, they expect him to score, and you're right. All right, let's go to Group J. Another, the current champions, Argentina. They got a good draw. I love Austria. I think Austria is a really good team. I have friends in Austria. They're really excited about them being there. So I think that's the 1-2, Argentina, Austria. What do you think?
I agree.
Okay.
We can move
on.
Now,
no debate there. Okay. Group K.
Mm-hmm.
You got Portugal. Cristiano Ronaldo's 41 years old. He's been playing in Saudi Arabia for a lot of money. Does he still have what it takes to compete in the World Cup, in your view?
I don't know. I think he'll come off the bench, to be honest, for
Oh wow,
Portugal.
okay.
No, I take that back. They can't bench him. The nation would go crazy, but I don't think he'll be as big of a factor as he was maybe in previous tournaments. But he'll still be, of course, the face of the team.
Yeah, that's a group that they should win, right? I mean, Colombia, we don't know the FIFA playoff one might come in, but
Yeah.
uh but it's not a non-European team. But Colombia has been good in the past. I mean, that they've made it to several World Cups. They were here in '94, famously. And then the group everyone's talking about, the group you were talking about,
Yep.
Group L. How do you see this playing out? England, Croatia, Ghana with Panama there.
Oh, I hope Ghana beats either England or Croatia. I,
Wow.
I can actually see that happening because Ghana, as you mentioned, is so strong at the World Cup, and I want to see like an underdog win and go far. And I hope it's going to be Ghana, but yeah, we'll see. I mean,
But
England,
and now
Croatia.
Croatia always, they've been a top team for so long. Luka Modric, though, he's in his late 30s, I think, at
Yeah,
least.
yeah, yeah.
The star midfielder for Croatia. So some of these teams you look at and they, it's like any sport, right? Your top players that kind of age out in a group.
Yeah. Can
But
I
now,
tell you who I think is the biggest winner of this draw?
who's that?
In my opinion, the biggest winner of this draw is New York and New Jersey. If you
Why is
look at
that, my brother?
if you look at the games, just the group stage games
Yeah,
alone that will take place at, is it MetLife Stadium? Is that what it's
MetLife
called
Stadium,
officially? You got Brazil against Morocco.
great game.
One of the best matches of this
Yeah,
group stage. It's almost like a final almost.
yeah,
Sounds like one. France versus Senegal, iconic matchup. In
right,
the 2002 World Cup, Senegal
right,
actually beat France.
right.
You got Norway against Senegal, you got Ecuador against Germany, and you got Panama against England. Great matchups.
Yeah, I mean, you got all marquee teams there. So let me ask you this other question. Now, you've covered the World Cup, and up until now, I mean, the World Cup typically they've had some exceptions. One country, right? Germany had it in 2006. Qatar had it 2022. Of course, and there were challenges there. The last time they did more than one country was 80. Was it 82 with South Korea and
In
Japan?
2002, yeah.
Yeah, 2002. Excuse me, 2002. 82 with Spain. How is this going to work? Because, like, say you're a tourist from your Germany and you come to the United States, you're going to fly to Canada for one game and Miami for another game. How's that going to work?
Yeah, it's going to be really difficult, actually. I covered this a couple of weeks ago because obviously, with the whole visa situation currently in the
Yeah,
United States, it's going to be difficult, not so much for fans from European nations, but fans from Africa, for example, or even South America, who have to travel to Mexico for one game, then back to the United States,
right.
then into the United States, go back to Mexico, re-enter the United States. It's gonna be so complicated. So I think you might just, as a fan of one of these nations, I think it might be safer to just sit this one out and watch from home instead of trying to,
Wow.
get a visa, especially to the United States, because it can take a while.
Yeah, but what about for the players? I mean, it's one of these things where your group stage may be around, say, the Northwest Pacific, but then once you get in the knockout round, you may be going all over the place. How
Yeah,
does that impact the players?
I think it will impact them majorly, especially since it's a World Cup with 48 teams now, so you have
Yeah,
one more round. You have a knockout stage of 32 teams. So you have 8 games in total. So I think what we're going to see at this World Cup is also a lot of injuries, maybe the quality of play lacking also because of fatigue setting in.
yeah.
Reminder, we're playing in the middle of summer, so it's going to be scorching hot at some of these places.
But look at Qatar. They played it in the winter. It's
They
still
played
pretty
in the
warm there.
winter, yeah, and most of these stadiums were had air conditioning. I don't know about the U.S. stadiums, but yeah, it'll be interesting, of course. It'll be an interesting World Cup. It'll be the first time that 3 nations host a World Cup, the
Right,
biggest
but this is
tournament
the
of all
trend now.
time.
I think the next one, isn't it? It's going to be like Spain, Portugal, and
Six
Morocco or something
nations.
like
It's
that.
just getting bigger and bigger and bigger.
Okay, now give me before we go. I want it. I'm going to put you on the spot, Raphael. Give me some. Give me three scenarios that you see for the final.
Oh my gosh,
Come
three
on.
scenarios.
I mean, I
What's
know
it?
we don't even know who's at which
Yeah.
path, but who do you see? Who could you see? Like, who's your early favorites? Give me, you don't have to pick one. Give me 3 or 4 early favorites.
I think Spain, as you mentioned, will be one
Right.
of the heavy favorites. Also, if you look at their group, they have an easy path up until I'd say the quarterfinals. Um, I honestly think Morocco will be the dark horse of the competition.
Wow. More
I
than
think,
Norway?
yeah, I think we're going to see them beat Brazil in the opening game.
Oh,
And
man. All right. I'm glad we're
yeah,
recording this.
well, I mean, I gotta say something. And then obviously I'm gonna say Germany, scenario three, Germany is winning the cup in New York,
Yeah.
um, in the final against Italy.
Oh, my gosh. All right. So, Raphael, we've analyzed the groups, we've looked at all the possibilities. What's your final summary of this World Cup draw?
My final summary is I think the World Cup is gonna be pretty exciting, no matter who is playing. Like
Okay.
you just love to see a World Cup happening. Then also three host nations combined, Mexico, Canada, the United States. The atmosphere is going to be amazing. If you want to buy tickets, by the way, I think the next ticket sales phase is starting next week. So, and it's going to be a random draw selection. So maybe you'll get lucky and even get tickets for one of those games. I think New Yorkers lucked out because the games in New York, they're spectacular, even in the group stage, and it's only going to get better in the knockout stages. So I'm pretty excited.
All right. Well, I can't top that. So, Raphael, we're going to do this again the next time there's a big development in the World Cup. See ya. Have a great day.
Bye.